多的通路真的是的跑当时之前的那出几个人到今的参几个，所以这个的跑他们中华是关键，他们中华是主要真谁。
So what I realized is that the previously and the way I explained the text, or what is commenting on the text, first of all, it has been too long and makes the translator and job very challenging and difficult. So, and secondly, also, and the information we have delivered, we have touched upon is quite extensive, and in some cases maybe it's a little bit overwhelming. So therefore, and I'm going to do a new way. I'm going to do is that I'm try to make the reading short. And but explain more deeply and or more clearly, and then so we take a time and to meditate. Yeah. That's so we do this like so then I'm going to. Complete my comments on each day, each Sunday session within 1 hour, and then I'm going to ask you join me, take 15 minutes and meditate for practice meditation, meditate, and then another 15 minutes, and we can do the open floor and to take questions and discussions and comments.
That's the model only to down a Galilean Gore, near the to the down the conversation or say that the sheds are only to go past on some German tomat go some. These are all that the Tom said the Connie Jam, the Catijam, the Connie Jam, so similar that the Nakam that the literally was some young din zombie that are that is Antonio's, did not the dark change. So I do appreciate and value and the time you spent here with us, with me, and I thought essentially and actually practically, meditation doesn't really restrain to a particular place or a time. You can meditate all the time, everywhere, whenever you can. And that's the ideal situation. But it also turns out that maybe to having practice meditation as a group, especially in the sacred places such as like here, the Gomba, or in the shrine, in the temple, and as a group, maybe more supportive and more productive. So therefore, in order to accommodate those feel difficult challenge meditation by individually or by self and themselves elsewhere, and maybe we take time and do practice meditation as group here while you're in the Gomba. And so I made this decision is based upon the suggestions of translator Denzin Tosam, because he thinks that this is going to be more beneficial, and I think that he what he says makes point, and I like to have experiment. He also shared his opinion with me, saying that for some people, and it's easier, and they can meditate elsewhere or home and anytime they wanted. But it's not for everyone, and some people for them is can make it makes them feel much better and supported if we practice meditation as group in the Gomba. I think that's probably is right.
Okay. 다 trực tiếp 다 trực 당한테 삽지 몽고 손동네네 조금에 비 님그 삼바 데터 노르저 데터 노르저 선 손은 남스 마르미 나와 러브션 지분이다 님마 다와 무즈위 만노 타 이나한테 주실로 이제 다들 특바드 가즈나 안에 컨시더링 아주 지당직된디 갈라키오서 아주 조동 인데 지금 뭐 요르다 있나 소소 치위 니모테 네 소소랑이 지고네 다 리던 카드네 남시 관절 지원을 겨 리기지스던 로고 요르지 대자다 디디나 네 기든디 감데나 네 니마다에 오게 캡다베나 소소지 나홍 만나가는데 세로가 되 용구레스 나 진짜 로즈 되게 용구레스 대자다 나다네 크로아스 거기데나 아니지 조동 인들이 있다면 봐 소소랑 그 랑이랑이 그 치진데 소소랑이 그 방과도 다다내서 소소랑이 재고를 뜻이 거스다.
So let's go to your translation and copy page 40, and then we'll continue the discussion. Discuss the drawbacks of a cyclic existence. So now here. It's the number 6 disadvantages, and it says the disadvantages of having no companions. The friendly letter says, as the disadvantage are like this: take up the lamplight of the 3 kinds of merits. For you enter the infinite darkness, where sun and moon cannot reach alone. So our general situation is that so throughout our lifetime, life experience, we know we have formed the various kind of relationship, especially like a family relationship and friendship, and so all kinds of relationship associated with others, and these are something that we experienced throughout our lifetime. However, as the text shows that when you towards the end of your life, and then when you to leave this world, and what happened is that the reality is no matter how much family you have, members you have, and how close the friendship that you've been built and developed, and so none of them were going to go with you, because the only one is leaving this world and is you by yourself, and even like the sun and the moon still spin around the earth, or still around and rise and sets and keep doing illuminating the universe as before. But you are the one who are going to die and have to deal with the darkness of the death. So therefore, keep this reality in mind, and then think that. So what are you going to do, and how are you going to face this the darkness and life after death? Obviously, you need to make some kind of road. And a pathway and go through it.
네, 대뜻증은 쓴든지 코로나에 일단 시험에 봤던 대 대화라 좀 농주 좀 원배 탐해 봐. 토마 내반에 식하고 진짜 디용도 다다 공내 시합이다 님과 코리 님과 시합도 봐너 디잖아. 섬근한테 디오래. 섬때 강하잖아. 결정 가도 코로나가 개발해 봤대. 리용도 개발해 리텐데라. 내데 당 레당 텐트 탐지 리트 요 말이지. 이때 매워지. 이나 데라 때는 가도 내가 그 초라 연구를 내려왔들라 초와 때 좀 쪼증하네. 뭔가 타요 말이죠. 따뜻다 내지 내kin들이 그 송제 당하고 소소한 그 초시 때 맡는 같이나 때 너바 첨바지 용도 그 말이지. 내 너비 대화도 같이나 너바 첨바지 용고 말 같이나. 고네 진짜 자자 탈라 반지고 때나 타마메 반에 시고 토마메 반에 근데 기타 리드 같이 종아를 따다 뭐 진대를 종아 때 말해 토마메 반에 좀 또 말이 비교 모공 같은 게 교환된 양기 시계가 난 시대네 탐에 빠지네 용아래 대차다 삼로트 섬당 거래 단다 미 멋지 데라 안에 입든에 와지네 근데 스타치오 때문에 요 말에 세다다 삼로치 당 근데 이와 데라 어떤 아주 내기다 요라 내기 농조 거다 내기 농조나 내기 그 농조는 다 참바지 요 말 소소런 거 천정 거래에서 삼동 거 아니 이나가 토마 같이 좀 말도 토마메 바니 종알 토마니 타면 단다 와도 코로 되게 또 섬나 삼로 땅에 애네 코로 님상으로서 님상 그랬어.
So we needed to reflect upon our very reality and the conditions of life. So basically, we talked about and we are still talking about and the backdrops, drawbacks of a cyclic existence. In other words, all the miseries of the cyclic existence. Among all the miseries or the faults of the cyclic existence, and generally speaking, you can categorize them into 6 types of different miseries, and those 6 you can again concise or shorten and abbreviate them into 3, and so what are the 3? Then 3 are, first of all, and your life here is the basic tendency or the force of your intention is that you are attached to, or you are always seeking for, wanted to enjoy the desirable, something is desirable. In other words, the pleasures of a desire, related to desire, but that the desire is never fulfilled, and it's never been, and they give you the sense of no, I'm done, no, I'm content. We never end up like that. So therefore, so first thing you need to reflect upon is that you being in this lifetime, and so you would you will die anyway, and you have experienced all kinds of pleasurable things, but there's no really an absolute sort of fulfillment or satisfaction. You never achieved that the absolute satisfaction, but rather it's keep repeating, doing the same old thing. And secondly, that is the fault. That is drawbacks. And then secondly, it doesn't matter how much you appreciate it or you love it, and but the life, after all, by its very nature, is unreliable, and you are under the course of the state of flux,
and there's nothing you really can rely on or think that is. And then, thirdly, you need to reflect to say, this happened to me, right? I repeatedly, never reached the satisfaction, and I never really finalize anything or establish anything as eternal. And this is not just happened in this lifetime, but I did this repeatedly from beginningless. I haven't done this and I went through this suffering and this misery and from the beginningless time. So think of these three things and then reflect on them and meditate on them.
대저다 당보들 코로나 입은 셰삼에 바지 코로나에 건드서 작거래지나 코로나에 가서 결정적 나세 간진 근이롱이 가서 저 침벌성 가로 성에서는 나세 자침보들 나세 자침보들 가와 요래즈니 인진지나 나세 데 요래즈니 모토지야 가서 참행고 뜻이 요마르다 이나가로 되는 집에 차당기니 니 리즈니 땅가도 자침보들 니 리인데다 캬로 또로 뒤쳇다 가리 잡네니 가리자고 가서 네 사이 통화 대고야 대기체도 저 원이 전에 무일롱 원이 전에 파스터 아주 무슨 님신 코르디니 가리자네 링어 있으면 가리자 가르치 지워졌다 아주 린도 초이쳤다 린들라 마트가 마토 쳇들고 어떤 리트드스 지 나랑 제종 지기 요르다는 리트도 가리자고 or다 리토 리트레 이때요 이때 그 지라페 나던 게 나네 뒤로 중앙에 저도치니트니 시도 시트에서나 때다 카트고 때나다 강을 먹고 런진 탐질라데 강을 먹고 때다 영네 리 놀고 그랬어 리 토바르데 리도 토바테 땅가도 리뇽고 리도 토바에서 리델라 테베리 남시죠 남시 때라테니 노동 지즈네 놀 지킨 직전나 땅가로 농쇼비 노비용데 같은 잠망들에서 나라도 뭐 통수지르는 저병고 때라테니 강바다 소바 저병고 그 농쇼바도 아주 생각나네 파 진이 뭐그 통용을 쏠때 통용을 뭐매교가 약간 농조예요. 암좀 먹고는 다 농조예요. 맞대 다라테네 에너지 다상은 텔라테니 에너지 선도 소화 되게 제용을 또 정말 아니 리당 텔라테니 종구요라 또 림비가 남족들한테 종구 때때 종화대용 토바르 때때도 때 입든 지게 요바요 말할 때 같이는 지기지네 라지 뭐 반긴로 그러자 다 영내 영도 노르워스 베나 리레리 쳤던 리 다다 멋진 리데 같이 지도 그러고 보고 춘춘 기원에서 내가 망고 차데 같이란 노르네 강고 차르마도 호피칼라 보고 춘춘들 로든 자치려데 강고 차서 말와 대자다 막 뜨가서 시기요 강에서 듣고 맞다고 강에서 듣고 막 대자다 판노셰 발라 있던 말은 미워매 봐지 어때나 나가도 직전디가 기억은 직전될 때는 아주 니니드세 쪽판드세 몽고도 통고요 통지들 때문에 농적을 때라 아니 저 토산이 야급당 총산이 낭미당 보고도 자청 디바로 찍찍라 때문에 용고서 때 농조한테 가르네 때 입던 요 말지 판노시기요한테 입던 거지 다대랑 늦당에 자차자 타방에 비기 시사이죠 말은 선이들 여러한테 다처럼 늦다 타치등이 다르세요 말이야 좀 년처럼 어때 여러요 뭐요 고 저코로네를 그거는 그 이때 매와자 때 착해요랬어 다 상로 동생 이와데 어다 직된데랑 오늘 정내 저 당직들이라 저기 있다 요 말에 가시네 아니 지금 오늘 정내 샤자가 정리 오지 날때 저희 온건 로자 카트도 신데라 카트도 치스마 카트도 아주 직된 강왕 부스던 연구 어때 어때 연구자 어디네 때를 상로 동안 때때 이부터 지우죠 말에 나 무슨 속발라 이때 말은 와 뭐라고 도면 되게 왔다. 네. 딱 아주 직든 니칸다 칸 무슨 속발에서 줬지. 딱 리라다 잡아 생각이 기억하지 놀롱 좀 무슨 속발지 왔을 때 무슨 속발을 했어요. 아니 찬양 좀 토고 니라 속발 토용수 때 무슨 속발지 걸. 근데라 타치 때 따바따 바지 요래서는 요 말이지. 그때 이러이랑 진짜 같이 지르지니 참도 막 치고 매부 찬 거 용거를. 아니 뒤자라 아주 바주 돈보 지금 권이 첨부때 좀 앞에 중앙라 소바 중앙라로 어떤 차로요 어때저다 대참말라 입든 자리요 말이지 대 입든 매자다 적당 코로이랑 진데 근데즈레 이제 상당하나 코로아테 가서 코로이 리튼데라 리턴 용모 온 것처럼 리드 잡아 리드를 때니 때리기 설로라 상황만 보죠 나왜 설로라 나왜 입도 소바테 탐지 입든 매발 때나 야긴 도시기 남실라 때나 girwatena pede ya this selong metolos pardo subayam rol bande metok jang korda ginji this chama kamji loma chama sang 처럼 듣잖아요. 잡아자고. 또 사마 쳤다잖아. 맞다 뺐던 비네. 입던 비비 맞다 뺐던 비. 신가 착거든. 모두 이딴 허리 끈거 찾는. 야, 땅 아주 산능 아주 시트고요. 어때서다 대상도 거래 써보다.
So to elaborate more on the how we should meditate on or reflecting upon those crucial and the points, and then to truly understand the nature of the miseries of samsara. The samsara itself, and as a misery as its nature, and we do need to think of from different perspectives. Essentially, that we say samsara and or cyclic existence, but what is really the samsara is, right? What is the cyclic existence? We try to see what this very term of samsara or cyclic existence is referred to, essentially from an empirical point of view, and that is related to your sense of identity, and it is something kind of established or developed because of your grasping at self of person, or the attachment to the self-identity. So this grasping attachment of the self, the importance of self, and to look at the self as something that's so special and so precious and so important, that very sense, that very understanding, and the notion of the self, and give the rise and further brings you to the various points of the life experience, and of there primarily your experience either is attached to something that's pleasurable or you feel so agitated because you find that things are very rejectable or are very frustrated. And so we do have this experience from time to time, all the time. In fact, we try very hard to do something for ourselves. But in other words, what we are trying to do is doing something as for cyclic existence. And this cyclic existence is, if you want to characterize them and sort of materialize it, it is your body. Okay, it can be sort of located in relatively in the relative sense that located in your very own body. And then when you look in examine what you're doing from the everyday, by the means of your bodily activity and your verbal and through by the means of verbal communication, and then also through the mentally thinking. So you make a strong effort. You try your very best. You're working so hard, and you try to achieve something. And but if you look at really what you are doing, and in fact, what you're doing is essentially is trying to preserve this body, okay? This entity, the physical entity, and which we call our I or myself, my body. So out of attachment and your own effort, right, is directly sort of try to do something that feed your body and make sure that your body is secure, safe, and is healthy, and it's something that's enjoyable, right? So that you have been doing, and that we have been doing all the time. But from a Dharma point of view, and so what we have doing is something that really is meaningless, is pointless.
Why? Because this body, it doesn't matter how hard you try with your body, speech, and mind, and at the end it has to something you have to throw it away, or you have to leave it and leave it behind. Why you need it? Why you have to do this? And you have no choice. Why you have to do it is because this very body you obtained or you misidentified as your individuality or yourself, essentially is the production of karma and afflictive emotions. Okay? So this, because it is a production of karma and afflictive emotions, and so therefore it is very contaminated and it's polluted. It's imperfect. It is imperfect because and it is very much conditioned, restrained or limited to various sort of factors. For example, right, and then you can feel the things, right? You can think of the things, and but if you have a problem with your vision and you can see it, even though the forms are there and the colors, shapes are out there, but you can't see it, and or even there's a sound and beautiful music around, but because if you have the problem with your hearing, again, so for you is that those things are irrelevant. So therefore, and when you bring this all this real and fact and analysis them, and then you know that anything that is produced by the karma and afflictive emotions is very limited, and actually is essentially is the cause of the suffering or the suffering itself. And furthermore, it keeps changing from a moment to moment. Every single moment, there's no really single moment is without changing. For example, like each of us here in this room, right? We were a little girl, a little boy, right? And then we grew up, and now we are something like 40s, 50s, or 70s. How come we become today, right? And it's old, or no longer a little boy? And do we have a really clear sense of this changing? How this changing taking place? What it brought you here, moment by moment? Obviously, and we have no clue. And we just arrived here, happened to be like this. And that clearly shows that this is changing, the impermanence, the moment by moment, the changing, the reality was slipped away. We never really be able to realize it. And so therefore, think about this, and then you know this again, the uncertainty, right? Your body and the samsara and or the cyclic existence, and it doesn't matter, but it is the causes of problem, and it produces all kinds of miseries. And so we do this at our individual level, right? Identify ourselves, right? And then make all kinds of miseries. Then we enlarged the pictures, we expanded our pictures of our self-identity, and like at a family level, and then we say, oh, my family and the family members and house and so on and so forth. Sort of you again identify yourself in a little bit larger picture. You sort of expand yourself, and then you identify that way. In fact, your families and your houses, and wherever you identify, and you think consider that's you. Again, it's unreliable, it's changeable, and there's no any certainty at all. And then you expand it a little bit bigger into the country, the states, or the nationality, and you think that's my nation or my states or my country, and you identify that yourself. And so, but when you carefully examine that the very identity you established through the nation, through the nation and or the country, and there's a guarantee or things that there and 100% you can rely on. You can trust it. It's not there. So from your body, the place you dwell, and your family member, and the countries, nations, all these are, and throughout the lifetime, your friends, and then you leave them, or they leave you, or you have to abandon them, or they will abandon you. At some point, some you will no longer see them in this lifetime, the very lifetime here. And some you will never see them again, and at the time of your death. And so, therefore, try to reflect this point and very carefully, and make sure, and your attachment is try to see that the falsehood of the false or the shortness of the attachment and to all this samsaric thing. And then another thing we need to reflect upon is about all this we call the prosperity, or we call the success, and or perfect life, accomplishment, and so on and so forth. So usually, people tended to forget, and again, it's the very true reality or truth of the impermanent, because their life have been so successful, and everything seems perfect, right? And then they could be so deluded, and they're so confused about the true status of whatever they have, or they call it everything is prospero and great, and it's remarkable. In fact, they are not. Why? Again, just like we analyzed this before, so it doesn't matter how higher the official positions you can achieve or you can obtain, and how much wealth you can develop, right? How a beautiful relationship you can form. All these wonderful things we call we call it perfect and accomplishment. They are the underlying reality of all this is, again, they are changing momentarily and second by second. So therefore you can see, there's within this what we call the perfect life. And lots of times there are people who end up in those high officials, and they at one point they were very famous, powerful person, but then they end up in the prison, and had to stay in jail, and then they have to go to the courtroom, and then end up in the jail. So, and then, the illness and so on and so forth. All this, again, just point out to one thing, that everything or anything that if that related to the samsara or the cyclic existence, and that is imperfect, that's the misery. And so, therefore, through this way, you will know that your body or your identity, your understanding of your identity, and is something that is wrong, and something is produced because this wrong and notion, and then they produce all the miseries. And so like we talk about from a little boy to 70 years old person, and we don't see the truth of impermanent, right? But impermanent took us to here. Similarly, when you look around the natural environment you stay with, right? It was spring, everything was, and start life comes back, and everything began to be very helpful, and then go through the summer, and then all of a sudden here now we are in the later autumn, and then the leaves are gone, and everything keeps fade away, and all this again is point out one simple reality, that is we are living in the truth of our samsaric existence is impermanent.
판벌만나 토르시지 배나가도 소수sem당의 샤차지니 셈 까자 야고시나 그때 마가지 판벌 먹을 때 동디파 공조는 거 공조는 됐던 거는 뭐냐나 토이 만으로죠 때도 비시 파지 소수sem당의 야고 파셔도 파쇼티 많이 공조라나 소소랑 니 공조는 거 공조는 토이든 만도 랑지 탐증만으로 하기 계산하고 그래서 진짜다 돌아 이때 지어 저 처순제 요 말이 그래서 동용지역 같은 걸 때네 토아 아니 적당 아주 소소교육을 상무가 되자 소소랑 일이 토하지는 앞서 생나가 오늘 진짜 지세용 거 때라 맞지 차도지 때네 소소 냠바 청나 때라 제심지 오늘 때리 소소 총아 냠총아 통하나 때라 게네 있는 아주 지금 말길지네 때라 아주 냠 통종 지역에 상무지라 먼저 줘봐 그렇게 너시 교수도 어떻게 그 샘기요 그때 자당 아주 그동안에 동아도 코리는 게 로동도 되지기요 말이지. 샘바도로지 상무 요거도 뭐 있는 거 상무. 다다가도 리더를 토거 리더 배출 간다던 건데 때다 상무도 진짜라 참말로 리키정 담바지 용토와 소소랑 있는 거 상디 참말로 리키정 용토다. 근데 때려전에 체인도던 체시마 참말로 펜토지와 어떻게 지고서 차당 원도 요 말. 샘바 동용지네. 간도 리더 강그 장한테 여러분들 혈압당 샴바당 혈압 장한테 전에 배주당 토와이나 체델라 대와 케시 말라 대와 랑 대와 전 대와 용거 근데 차당 부잔당 결위 리더 배주당이나 어떻게 요다때 맞는 포라코 그래 시고다 너무
And one of the points here, again, we'll work on some kind of detail, and in terms of how to reflect upon the uncertainty of the samsara. And one crucial area that we need to focus on and reflect upon is the uncertainty of the friendship or accompanyship. So the accompanyship of friendship is unreliable. And how we know it, and it's because we call it friends, and but like Shantideva, the author of the Bodhisattva's way of guidance, the way of life, and it says that if you may advise and give the advice out of with a good intention, and he or she might misunderstood, and then get so annoyed and angry and about you, so. And then, if you fail to handle that frustration or disappointment, and then you will become angry, and then as a result of the anger, and you will have to born in the lower realms. And so, what the Shantideva teaches us here is that yes, indeed, and we think the friend is everything, and we treat it and cherish them, and as something that is give them a great deal of attention. But indeed, and if you think that is permanent, and you invest all your time and energy into it, and that very relationship could be destroyed by a moment of instance, and one single instance momentarily. And just like Shantiva pointed out, suppose you have a friend and a family member, and you think that's permanent, you invest all your energy, time into it. But instantly, or due to the circumstances, under special circumstances, and even if your intention is good, you are intended to do something very beneficial for him or her or them, but they could misunderstood, or they could take it completely wrong, and they think you are interfering, and you are being mean, and so on and so forth. They could get very angry, and then the relationship that you nourished could be end up so easily. So therefore, and it is important for us to not think and attach to the this accompanyship or a companion or friendship and relationship as something as a forever thing or everlasting thing. Rather, our attitude towards the relationship with anyone, and especially the beloved ones and friends and so on and so forth, and it has to be tried to sort of deal with them and to interact with them, and based upon from the attitude, or with the attitude, you can call that equilibrium. Equilibrium, okay? The attitude of equilibrium, or kind of equalize. So equally and or completely neutral, and so. This way, and you will avoid to cause all those afflictive emotions. And in fact, we have to be careful with ourselves and as well as people around us. The reasons for this, usually. Prior to our successful trainings in the Dharma practice, our attitude is like this. Whenever we see somebody who is doing much better than us, who is promoted, and then instead of rejoice, say, "Oh, great, lucky you, and congratulations," we are generally, and we will have some kind of bitterness, something that's inside ourselves, and makes us feel ourselves feels uncomfortable, and because we are jealous about that person's success, and that's towards someone who is higher than us, or who is becomes superior than us. But at the same time, we also have this our untrained mind also have this tendency, that is, whenever we deal with or interact with someone with equal status, with a status equal than ours, and then we usually very much competitive, and wanted to compete with him or her, and try to be better and doing well and better than him or her. So this competitive, that's our attitude towards someone is equal and equal position. And then at the same time, we also have the untrained mind has that tendency. That is, when we see someone who is inferior and doing worse than us, or doing something as poorer than us, and then we take a pride, we look down them, and sort of look at them become very disrespectful, and has no sympathy for them. And so this three kind of attitudes, and since we have it inside our mind, and so we are sort of turn around these three attitudes. So therefore, and if you do not understand the importance of equilibrium, or the being this adopted neutral, and being neutral, and then handle the friendship or relationship, and then you will continue doing create all the samsaric miseries. So this is the basic characteristics of samsara, especially in terms of the friendship, the relationship. As I said earlier, so our first thing is that we identify something that is ourself is mainly with our body. So we do pretend the body and the human body. So in our meditation or our practice has to be always asking ourselves how to wisely and meaningfully use this lifetime, use this human body. And so if you use this human body, let this human body do everything that's driven by the loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom, then you are using this body and the human body is the way you use it are meaningful and it's virtuous. And so in any case, do not misuse your body and to let your body to serve the attachment to sensational pleasure, and especially use your body and to express your anger, or let it to sort of to fulfill the desires of the hatred and ignorance. That's really very, very important. So therefore, yes, we need to look in this whole thing and make sure that the way we use our body is very meaningful and is virtuous.
곰처럼 샘나 식상으로 땅에 샘나네 때 맞을라 전에다나 샘 잡아들이 용거래 용나 뒤 지고 될 파도 손에 주고 털고 아니 샘나 제지니 쿠아도 예손에 곰도 털고 배나 배 저도 좀 봐이나 그런다 내라네 니 농농아 땅키 이마 수치기라 저런 농아 땅키나 그런 미 잡아대 용 미 잡아도 용 되게 용 기타 왔다네요 미드까지 지르까지요 근데 이나 정글로 Tita Dormato, Tita Decorum Tambareta, Tamba the Semanga, the Tanki, some something. Timati Miti Jat in the Shalwa was on a country to the Comature. They turned the told out the Nikus on the tron the Tron Comature. The Naz Semna Tamba, the Yikonski Tamba, Chitabi, tell something, then Sem Jamba Yonati, Yamachi Jazama, Semna Jabatana, the Bar Yendu, Tena Yendu. Any new the Tamba must watch in the Shama, Gobia on the Maswa, de qua, the catching Borisida. Womzina? Gumbo, the Tamba.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now let's turn to our meditation session. Let's practice meditation. So in the next 15 minutes, we're going to meditate. Here, I like to, before we practice meditation, and we meditate on our body, right? The focus is our body. Meditate on our body, but what is meditation? First, let me give you a very brief explanation, or to review and refresh your knowledge about meditation. Meditation is about mindfulness, or about recollection, about memorization. Okay, and recollection and memorization of mindfulness, and that is the nature of the meditation. So when we say meditation, is some people say, "Oh, going to have any sort of sense at all." No, that's not the case. That's wrong. So meditation is that you sort of have the object of your the object of your meditative concentration, then you know what it is. So now you remember, okay, you hold that very knowledge and that very awareness, and then you focus on the object of meditative observation, and without forgotten. Okay, that is the meditation. So meanwhile, you have to do this. Number one is make sure you remember, you're aware of what you're supposed to do, right? Awareness, okay? And a recollection of the awareness, that's number one. And at the same time, also, you must make sure while you are while you are meditating, and not let yourself fall asleep, or do not let the dullness took over. So, and I give you an example. Maybe this can simplify you. Okay, we are in the shrine room here, right? In this Gomba, in the shrine. And suppose you've been assigned today. Your job is the assignment. You've been assigned to look overseeing the activities of this temple, or just simply keep this temple in order. Make sure everything, you're the one who watches the temple. So from the moment you've been assigned to this job until you fulfill you can complete your duty, your job must be very observational. Make sure you know who comes and goes where and doing what, and when and how he or she or they left. You have to notice all these activities going on, okay? And without being distracted. So while you are taking care of the shrine room, okay, and you must remain inside the shrine room and with that clear sense of awareness, right, and without being distracted. If somebody come in and you followed him or her walking out of the temple, then that's what? That means you forgot your object of meditation, right? The object of your meditative concentration. At the same time, also, you must make sure while you are taking care of the temple, do not let yourself kind of become bored and become dull and become tired mentally. Okay, because once you are tired or bored and you will not able to pay attention, of course, then people coming can take things away and without your awareness. So therefore, in any case, that while you meditate on, and you have to remember and be aware of what you're supposed to meditate on, and at the same time make sure and not only do not let the excitement destroy and distracting you, and also do not let lethargy or dullness and destroy your meditation also.
당대는 당리 당다 검다 통통 동보 검나 양용에서 조식이요. 엔디나지 검잡니 수수 양용요 대망 요도라 지금에 경험도 검도 소소라니 그 남기 검까지 검다라 파 텔레시는 요라요 마르스 텔라스 시로지지 대고요 마르스 나타나 뭐 사트 장게때 리검는지도 저런 거 리기 기즈니 사우도 당네 동방원이 좀때 타파이요 좀때 로파이요 좀때 는더 잡지더니 강벨라는 좀때 강비 티바르파 samluchitang o the thing lead semnata shasuna lead la teni kariyong gore lead la teni ngado gedik nami tengor lead la teni gedik nami kariyong gore jena o sochopa mashimberlemba lopre yimba da chamre yon chayunda so de chamcha lead la teni yongor lead la teni yongna de la teni te lead la teni jomna te dikpare de la teni ro mauna dingin deu dingin jongor chedela dingin jongor cheshman 대자 대 송아이나 대 개와래 리델라 때 개와 디 개와 송네 송섬 지근리는 송 맞추 봐 공마 마키와 lokprin bala so katende machi songaina ti kokhum ti yona te machina te songsum tikene na somar te songna te la phayo te na te la tenne jiru kiwa chung te cha li de la tenne li tarang samno tang li de ngang zo chita nga nga se pha chan sona ye ota ma te na 대신 로트 가도 리드 찾고 그런 것도 정말 가 됐어. 가 세야 돼. 산주는 나성 저를 찾다 리드 찾고 리드 대신 때 리드하고 주선 맞춰 샤라지. 아니 때라 때는 띠 리드 그 남이 되고 샤라지. 때는 때는 지금 아니 좀 아홈 세트 링이 있은 거 같이 그래. 가고 주사오 동네 들리파 오치디 소소근가 제 호마치 릴라테니 파스 당바 소고초파 마시벌레 바마송 다 로프리 발라서 텐디 니와요는 탐좀마 딱송 선데 니와 마타메나 텔레테 등인 정도 되자 제 델라 좀 지시만은 종스 바 종이자 데 니와 델리 딱송 서비 데 양지 요소 삼로 당네 혼데 있다.
Okay, so the following instruction is not intended to give those advanced practitioners. And here I know that some of you are advanced meditator, and you have a very accomplished meditative experience in meditation. So so you can meditate the way you wanted or the way you have been, and if you do not want to try the instructions, and I'm going to share now. And my instructions to give it to you, I intended to give those of you, suppose you are very new and you don't have much experience in meditation, and so especially regarding to with respect to how to meditate on your body. Okay, and here is the instruction. First of all, right, and so you turn all your attention to your body, right? Your body. That's your body, and your body. You know it is, and then so let's think about it. So through this body, right, you can do two things, and one is virtuous, and one could be the non-virtuous, right? Awesome and wholesome or unwholesome. So either way. So that's your body what to do. And in the worst case scenario, and in terms of negative actions concerned, through this body you can kill and committed the crime, such as like a murder or slaughter and damage others' life. And then you can commit to sexual misconduct, and you can stealing things. So that's the body that you can do such a thing. At the same time, so also think that if you use this body and properly, and this body can help you to accumulate all kinds of virtuous action, and so then by realize that that's the case, and then develop a sense of the sense of that you want to cultivate the virtuous action with this body, right? And at the same time, try to eliminate or abandon all the non-virtuous actions and accumulate this body. So that very sense of I want to use this body to avoid the misdeeds, but to commit all the virtuous deeds, and that is the Dharma practice at this point. And then secondly, so this is one aspect of the meditation related to your body. And secondly, now look at yourself and your body. By the way, when we say you, or at your end is I, when you refer to yourself as I, and primarily, and if you really carefully and closely observe and your mind, you will know that your very I is primarily is intended or is associated with this physical entity, which we call the body, and that's your sort of a base. That's your foundation. A foundation of your I, or the basis of your I. And so then scan through your body from the crown of your head, right, all the way to the down, right, layer by layer, and so from the crown of the head, right, and then the hair, and then your head, and then all the way goes down, all the way reach to your neck and your shoulder, and then your chest and your arms, and then your upper part of your body and lower part of your body, and all the way to the thighs, and the legs, and the all the way to the feet of the bottom, at the bottom of your feet. Oh, look at all this, and carefully and look at and think of them, and then have the kind of a vivid sense of that very body. Okay. Hold on, let me see. My notes is mixed. 제가 공부했더니 오마 혼딩 거는 내가 자성공이 공당이 투디 뉴스ons.
당고 리트 타고 원이 좀 지워 상당히 어떤 일이 세트나 도도 샤스다. 리데라는 가령 거는 기득나미 들어왔다 시기듯이.
진짜서.
종람로 된도 거다. 다 리트냐 받지 리트라는 기와 청다 게득죠. 게득때 상다 리트라는 소소 득바죠. 수미가 소소 정하고 말이야. 소소 때문에 득바사죠나 다 엄지 이게 마찬가지 올가오직도 샤르치니 리땅 그치 득바다 들어왔지 마. 당네 리트 정말 차송삼지라. 당시 송상 딱 빠지. 근데 차송 근데 세세세세를 삼로 당세. 근데 샘 잡아 되잖아. 이야마지 전날 땡기 좋고 가는데 되지 뭐 그때 봐 그런 깔을 전날 땡기서 수수 생각 같은데 리전 땡기도 지금 맞지. 원대 있다.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yes, so you go through all the way, just get a very clear sense of your own body, right? Nothing more and nothing else, right? And once you develop such a clear sense of your body, right, and get that very vivid sense of your body, and then you can now you can meditate on that. omchikorewe omahun tsimurela.
지금 리텔라테네 가려운 거지 다게 쉐이바 기타 지나 고주도 오셔도. 리텔라테네 다 게트크나미 띠온 것도 네고라지. 근데 소소
뜻이요.
뜻 삼당시 뭐 니와테 뜻 삼노다다 띠 게트크나미 요노 소 디파스거나 디파다 소소 올가오 리라 참니 용네 름비 지네 소소 리게 땅나비 디파다 디파 나차라 소바 참마마 장송사네 시와양 차송전에 애니 따랑 리 당송사와 따랑 삼도.
Okay. So once you get that clear sense of your body from top and crown your head to the feet of the bottom of your feet, and then then next is reflect that like we talked earlier, because this body, and if you misuse it, then it accumulated negative karma, right? And then think about anything that can be considered as negative karma and you have ever committed, and then meditate on omahunde yokorala dene ma chengo gore
ting이 시작이 시간다. 근데 삼로당나다 소소 득박가서 소소나 요로다. 어떤 소초가 뭐가지고 되어 때오나 어떤 때라테니 묘등이 좀 되자 따가 셰발라 근데 상기적인 선바탐 신기라베 네 올가오 소소리라베 더스가오나 올가오 되는 남바가 셔지니 그 사정도 되니 마치니베 samataksung samjinin boms.
Ja omahon yo marwana. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Earlier, so I thought that maybe to make it simple, a little bit simple, instead of that. So here, when you get to that point that you have the vivid sense of the body, and also then reflect on and what possible, the possible and negative karmas that you have accumulated, and then at that very point, and then visualize that the white light, visualize or meditate on, visualize a white light, And in that light, so whatever the negative karma, that's a white light, by the way, is represented all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and then their body, speech, and mind, the quality of Buddha and Bodhisattva's mind and the body, speech, and quality of them. And then think that that very light and it is arise or dwell in your you receive that in the very blessed for the lights, and then in that very light, whatever the negative karma you have been accumulated from beginner's time, now is all been purified. And when you reach this sense, reach this point, I get a sense of a purification, and then meditate on there.
你们我想着慢慢没有尝到是真的生意可以生意来我说得了的数的把到送的上的啊。
Yeah. So the analogy you can think is that like the sunlight, when the sun arises, all the darkness has been dispelled. Vanished on the earth. So, in the same fashion, that very light in the white color, as soon as you get the sense of you being connected to, or you be able to touch upon to that very light and the blessings of Buddha, Dharma, and the Sanghas, and the Buddhas, and then all the darkness of your negative karma and has been dispelled or vanished.